Good morning, Ian Crouch with your 8:30 Hunter News update. A Lake Macquarie school has been closed for deep cleaning and contact tracing after a student tested positive to COVID-19. Staff and students at Fennell Bay Public School have been asked to immediately self-isolate and await advice from New South Wales Health. It comes as the number of exposure sites across the Hunter continues to grow. There were close contacts at the Central Leagues Club in Charlestown from Monday to Wednesday last week who must get tested and isolate for 2 weeks. Other close contact exposure sites include the Queen's Wharf Hotel, Honeysuckle Social and Barber Industries at Westfield Katara. Hunter New England Health has listed another dozen venues where there were casual contact with known cases. A Newcastle aged care facility hopes high vaccination rates among residents will prevent a deadly outbreak of coronavirus. It comes after 2 workers at 2 facilities tested positive. 62 residents at the Masonic Village at Edgeworth and 17 at the Hammond Care facility at Waratah are now locked down and awaiting test results. Only 6 residents are unvaccinated, and it's hoped this will help prevent serious illness or fatalities. The Hunter is bracing for more COVID cases today, with the number of active cases in the region now above 40. Public health physician Dr. David Durheim says we all have to up our game to stop the spread of the virus.
Really worrying that of the 13 new cases, only 1 was not infectious out in the community. We need to do better. All of us need to work together to make sure that we stop the virus from spreading. Let's starve the virus of every opportunity of spreading in our community.
The Hunter Region's most senior police officer says all reports of people not following the current public health order will be investigated. Dozens of penalty infringement notices have been issued in the region since the latest lockdown began. 71 in Lake Macquarie, 58 in Port Stephens, 55 in Newcastle and 48 in the Hunter Valley. Assistant Commissioner Peter McKenna says local police stations have received hundreds of calls about breaches of the public health order and all are being investigated. Loopholes in the state's stay-at-home orders, which have seen Sydney-siders travelling to the Hunter, have been criticised. Hunter residents have been critical of the public health orders not going far enough to keep people in lockdown zones out of the regions. Health Minister Brad Hazzard says it's a complex situation.
What does worry me, I have to say, is no matter what legal orders or what legal requirements are in place, you can't legislate against stupidity, arrogance and entitlement. People will still try and do it.
It's hoped 2 new COVID testing clinics opening today will help reduce long waiting times across the Lower Hunter. A clinic has opened this morning at Passmore Oval at Wickham Park. It will operate 6 days a week from 7:30am until 4pm. A drive-through testing clinic is also up and running at Spears Point Park. A report into the state of women's and children's services, including those in the Hunter, has revealed a significant increase in demand for domestic violence services. The report found 84% of services said there was an increase in the complexity of the cases received. Shadow Minister for the Prevention of Domestic and Family Violence, Jodie Harrison, says emergency funding is required for frontline services in the wake of the latest lockdown.
A really important thing that domestic violence services are saying is that there needs to be an increase in housing to allow survivors to live in a safe environment, and we've got to see that from the government as well. We need to see increased funding for domestic violence services, and we need to see increased funding for housing so that people can go somewhere when they leave domestic violence.
2NURFM Sport.
The Knights have their focus set on a tightrope walk to the finals, currently sitting in 9th place on the NRL ladder after their 8-point win over the Broncos last week. Knights co-captain Jayden Brayley will be making his return after a head knock at the start of the month put him on the sidelines last week.
I got a little knock, but to be honest, for the most part, I was all right and went through all the protocols and, good to go.
Jets coach Arthur Pappas has drawn yet another talented defender into his 2021-22 season rebuild, with Adelaide's Jordan Elsey making the move to Newcastle. Elsey made his A-League debut as a teenager in 2014 and went on to feature in 124 games for Adelaide United, including 1 championship and 3 FFA Cup titles. Newcastle trainer Chris Lees has had to cut his team in half after 7 of his horses received poor draws for today's meet in Newcastle. And Maitland are keeping their eyes on the WPL finals despite the COVID-enforced break, sitting 5th on the ladder after their 2-point loss to Adamstown in round 17. And the winning numbers in Oz Lotto are 43, 30, 5, 17, 2, 45 and 22, and the supplementaries are 4 and 24. And now you're up to date with the latest 2NURFM Hunter News.